Am I the a-hole stories? Am I the a-hole for not forgiving my son for what he did? So here I 53 male have 3 adult children. Jake, 26 male, Dave, 24 male and daughter, 20 female. So I'm going to skip the build-up and say we were a wonderful family unit. I thought my kids were the best siblings until Dave slept with Jake's wife, and after the divorce, they got together and had a kid. Jake won't even acknowledge that he is a brother and we have all completely cut contact with him. Unfortunately, this means that I can't see my grandkids, but when I last spoke to my son, I told him, "You sold your family for some disloyal Pepsi. I hope it's worth it." Now, I haven't spoken to him in about 3 years and we have begun to build my son back up to the man he was before. We were having a small party for his birthday and somehow someone who didn't know the story asked about his brother. I said, "I don't know," and they asked what he does. And I said again, "I don't know." And they started getting upset with me saying that it's sad that a father doesn't know anything about his own son. I told them that he made his decision and I'm not going to discuss this any further. Honestly, I have missed my son, but I can't begin to think of how much it would hurt my older son to have me disregard his feelings for those two. So am I the a-hole? Edit. I apologize for my failure to communicate this effectively, but the affair happened for about a year before my son found out and the divorce happened. This happened 3 years ago and they were those ages at the time of the blow-up. They are now 29 male, 27 male and 23 female. Ex-wife/wife is now 28, was 25 at the time. They had been married for 4 years and my wife and sister loved her. He was my wife's baby and the first one to get married, and she would just adore anyone that made one of our babies happy. When my wife died, she took it as hard as any of us, so I really thought of her as my daughter. Jake was a lot like me. He was brash but hard-working but kind of unambitious. My wife loved that about him and they were always closer to each other than they were to me or the other kids, whereas I like to hang out with the kids that behaved more like my wife, my headstrong and highly ambitious younger son and daughter. They were my favorite children. They were the ones that I went to bat for when fun met F's. I know I shouldn't say this, but they all know it. I guess maybe that's what made Dave think that he could get away with anything with me. But I spent 26 years doing everything I could think to do to help my kids be good people. I hate that this situation ever happened, but I do not support betrayal. So I just got a phone call that I didn't expect. Jake just told me that he saw this post and wants to talk about what we should do going forward. We're going to talk after church and I'll see what he wants to do. I hope he's not mad at me for airing his business. I'm just so scared, but I think this needs to happen, and thank you all for the comments and awards. I am truly sad and humbled, but I have to say that maybe the reason that other parents don't do what I did is because it is so hard, and I think easy is the normal way that people do things now. For the top comments before reading the update, not the a-hole. But I think that if you're going to cut your son out of your life, it has to be because of your own feelings. You cut him off because you think his actions are unacceptable and unforgivable. Not because you're scared of hurting your other son's feelings and you're scared of his reaction, not the a-hole. Your sons are adults, one wronged the other in a way, proving he's generally untrustworthy. You are right to stand by the wrong son. My only suggestion would be to immediately answer questions about the younger with "we don't discuss him" or something similar. It tells people to drop it immediately, not the a-hole. It's easy to miss what's gone, but older son is the one that needs stable support system right now. Appreciate what you have and let younger figure his life out without involving you in his drama. He'll reach out if he's ever ready, but no more snide comments and judgment. Either be cordial if you want a relationship at some point down the road, or just burn the bridge and stop beating yourself up about his choices. Not the a-hole. And your middle child definitely is. But such a sad thing to have the grandchildren who were completely innocent not know their grandparents. Sounds like your family is bitter, and I get that. I would be too, but that's no way to live. And clearly you want to make amends on some level, or why post here? I get why you choose sides, but is that the wisest thing to do in the end? Only you and your wife can answer that. But personally, I'd forgive my kid after years and move on with life. My grandpa cut my uncle off due to his second wife and on his deathbed kept expressing regret over it. It haunted him those last few days. I wouldn't wish that on anyone. Just my ignorance but honest 2 cents. Good luck, OP. What a crappy and unfair situation for you to be in, not the a-hole 100%. You're a good dad. That son literally screwed up the entire family for life and then screw up the innocent baby's life on top of it. Nobody's going to forget this. There was just one of these the other day where the entire family was mad at the sibling who had her husband stolen by her sister, and the mother was mad. She wasn't willing to do Thanksgiving with all of them, including the a-hole, cheating, lying husband. What on earth is wrong with people? And now for the update. I was asked how things went with my sons. Well, I'm not sure how to make an update post, so I guess I can just do this here. So as I stated before, my oldest son saw this post, his fiancée showed it to him, and apparently this is the first time that he had thought about his brother in the last couple of years and hadn't actually thought I had kept to my word and not spoken to him. He had known that he was one of my favorites and expected me to maintain contact in secret, and was amazed and shocked that I hadn't been lying to him all these years. He is a bit upset with himself that he doubted me and was extremely apologetic for driving a wedge between me and his brother. And I had to tell him that he didn't do anything wrong and it was 100% on his brother for how everything went. I told him I love him and I would always have his back and that it was the easiest decision that I have ever had to make. Then him and his fiancée told me something that I really didn't expect to hear. She is pregnant and they were planning on telling the family at Thanksgiving, but let me know early and asked me to keep it a secret till then. So yes, I'm going to be a grandfather after I left. My son's fiancée called me and again thanked me for sticking up for him in that situation. Apparently, something similar had happened to her. And like a lot of stories below, it went the way of the cheated being the one who was exiled. So I guess this is really as common as you guys told me. I just never imagined it could be that common. Thanksgiving was where everything went weird for me though. So we had a plan to have just the 5 of us at my home for Thanksgiving. But when my daughter read the post, that list went to 4 because she realized why I had been so annoyed with her girlfriend at my son's birthday party. Then while I was cooking dinner, I get a tap on the shoulder and turn around and it's my younger son looking like he expected me to punch him. I almost did. Jake had apparently called him and asked him to come to dinner. I don't know why he thought surprising me like this was a good idea, but I guess he thought I would object, which I may have. He apologized to me, but I told him he didn't do anything to me and he doesn't need my forgiveness. I told him he hurt his family. Yes, but he hurt his brother. First and foremost, Jake said that he had already forgiven him and that it was okay for us to all move on. Now, I have made it a point that my children never saw me cry, not when my parents died, not when my sister died, not when my wife died, but I couldn't get away this time, and I cried for an hour straight. My sons both hugged me and my daughter came in and hugged us all. Then I heard this little voice say, "Why is Daddy crying?" And I almost had a heart attack. This small curly-haired kid standing next to a person who I swore would never set foot in my house, looking almost identical to my son. I didn't know what to do. I was not prepared for this, and this is not a person I felt deserved to see me like this. But the boy looked scared and I couldn't be mad at a scared kid. So we stopped hugging and Dave went to the kid and said Daddy's okay and he wanted him to meet his daddy. He's a polite kid and he's way better behaved than any of my kids were at that age. So, yeah, this has been a bad trip and I guess I have Reddit to thank for putting this years-long foolishness to bed. I just hope Jake is okay with this. I would hate to find out that this is a problem for him and that he is just doing all this for me. I want my children to be happy and hopefully that it's possible for all of us now, but it's only been a week. So I guess time will tell. Thank you, Reddit. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for kicking my sister out because she tried flirting with my husband? I'm 27 female, have a little sister, Emily, 20 female, my husband, 27 male, and I have been together since our college days back when we started dating Emily, who was 13 to 14. Then seemed to have this little crush on my husband, then boyfriend. She would blush in his presence, stutter while talking to him, etc. We assumed that the crush went away as she grew older and her behavior indicated. So, my husband thinks of Emily as the little sister he never had and treats her as such. We've not had much contact with Emily over the years as we live in a different state at the other side of the country and she's been busy with her schooling. Last week, my parents and Emily were visiting our house for my birthday weekend. From the moment Emily arrived, she would not stop flirting with my husband, from excessively complimenting everything he did to proclaiming things like they would make a great parent, etc., etc. My husband looked very uncomfortable and so did my parents. I don't know how we got through the dinner after the evening was done. My husband asked me if there was something wrong with Emily and that why was she behaving like that. He said she made him very uncomfortable and asked me to talk to her. So I found her alone and tried telling her that it was fine if she had slashed as a crush, but it's never fine to make anyone uncomfortable. I told her that it would be nice if she kept her distance for the remaining 2 days they were here since he was not okay with this behavior. She said she wasn't being flirty or improper. I told her that she was indeed being inappropriate and it was very creepy that she would try to flirt with my husband. She got very defensive and said that I was being insecure and I quote, "If I was really flirting with him, you wouldn't stand a chance." I lost it at this point and told her that she's no longer welcome in our house and should screw off the first thing in the morning. Emily and my parents left the very next day. Even though my dad agreed that Emily's behavior throughout the evening was very inappropriate and that she should apologize to my husband. My mom thinks nothing of that sort happened, and all three of us are being delusional that it was a jerk move to kick Emily and by extension her out of my house when they traveled all the way here. Am I the a-hole now? For the top comments, proclaiming things like, "They would make a great pair." Your sister is dealing with some issues. You are definitely not the a-hole here. Your partner came to you feeling extremely uncomfortable about your sister's actions. You diplomatically brought it to your sister's attention and she got defensive instead of apologizing again. Not the a-hole. You did all you could. It was either kick her out or force your partner to be uncomfortable in his own home. If the genders were swapped or ages, then this would blow up with the family. There wouldn't even be a second thought about it. The partner has the right to feel safe in his own home and not creeped on. No. If the genders were reversed, chances are people would still go, "Oh, but he doesn't mean anything by it, and he's just a kid." Boys will be boys. People don't want to admit their family members or friends can be bad. People doesn't matter if they are men or women. Not the a-hole. Your husband confirmed your instincts when he told you that your sister's behavior made him uncomfortable, and her response, "If I was really flirting with him, you wouldn't stand a chance," cements the fact that you did the right thing. If she were truly innocent, she'd apologize and amend her behavior. Correct. Unfortunately, since mom thinks there was nothing wrong with this behavior, chances are, that's where Emily learned it and she really does think it's perfectly normal and acceptable. Not the a-hole. Even your dad thought she was out of line, man. Now, for the last story, am I the a-hole for telling my son his ex is more important to me than he is? 8 years ago, my son left his heavily pregnant ex-wife for another woman. Me and my husband took her in, gave her everything we could, and I'm not talking about babysitting for a few hours. I held her hand as she gave birth to my 2 beautiful grandchildren. She is queen in my eyes. Me and my husband helped her take care of my grandchildren. We did the night feeds, cooking, laundry, cleaning while she got back to herself and started university again, which we as a family chipped in for over the years. We have seen her more as a daughter than a daughter-in-law. Like, if I'm being honest, I've always wanted a daughter. I have 9 sons and I think I see her as the daughter I wish I had because she's such an amazing, strong, beautiful woman. She's been living with me since the affair became public and my husband and sons love her like I do. Recently for her 30th birthday, they gifted her a Christian Louboutin bag, shoes and belt. My son, who's been married to his affair partner for 7 years, blew a fuse saying that Maria is his ex and I barely sent him a card. Well, I then laid down the truth that Maria is more important than he is because at the end of the day, she is the woman that raised my grandchildren on her own and helped me while I was battling cancer. That he and his affair partner were scummed at the family is ashamed by, and no one would accept his whoever our princess. He called me in a hole basically, then blocked me. And I'm wondering now, was I wrong? Am I the a-hole for telling my son the truth and picking favorites now for the comments? Not the a-hole. He left her pregnant without support, then gets upset at you for spending your own money after what seems implied not being there for you while you battled cancer. Any idea what went wrong in his upbringing? I honestly don't know. My other sons are completely different. My grandsons call my husband Dad. My son, who cheated on his wife, didn't know for years. One of his children was deaf. Maria never stopped him from seeing his sons. He chose to. Yikes. Well, he chose. So did you. Sometimes it happens. It's great. The family is chipping in to help out your ex-daughter-in-law and grandkids, but your son should be paying child support. You should not need to compromise funding your retirement. He needs to be made to take on his responsibility as a father. Even if he has chosen not to be a dad, that's money those kids will likely need for college. Not the a-hole. He left his pregnant wife, carrying his twins, for another woman. You stepped up and brought her into your home and did everything a bio parent should have done. You're a queen among women. What he forgets is that he made choices to dump her while pregnant, not pay attention to his children as if they didn't exist. Then he thinks he has the right to be mad over how you behaved. Nope, not going to happen. I'm thinking sometimes about the audacity of these people. How do they, with their clear minds, think that after the crap they've pulled, which most likely haven't even thought nor cared about for one moment, that the other party is the a-hole, not the a-hole? And that's it for this video. Guys, if you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you like this content, I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.